This podcast is about change and transformation, and will investigate how and why it's necessary for businesses to work with this. And to get different perspectives on this topic, I'm glad to have you here, Michaël and Navon.
Excellent pronunciation. Hi, Martina.
You joined Columbus in August, and the first couple of months you've spent doing what exactly?
That is a very good question. First of all, talking, hearing, and learning. It's always very important to make sure where you are, how people work, how companies work. There's no such thing as a blueprint to work. You cannot replicate what you did, hopefully well, in your previous company, and you cannot expect to do it exactly the same in a new company. So I've been spending a lot of time to meet as many people as I could in Columbus and trying to understand how I can help them, maybe, how I can help the company achieve its goals, which I guess we'll talk about. So really, I would say listening has been a large part of my time these first months.
And you once told me that there are only 3 things you need to focus on to succeed. Remember that?
I do, and that's actually a really good quote, which I got from one of my previous manager a long time ago. He said, to be a good leader, you only have 3 things to do. Make your numbers, please your customers, and grow your people. And the third part, grow your people, is apparently where a lot of leaders are failing.
Yeah, and we'll get back to that later and zoom in on leadership actually, but I kind of just wanted to hear you say it once more.
Absolutely, it is important.
You are responsible for our offerings within advisory services for business strategy and digital transformation. Is it correct to say that you and your team are the advisor of the entire project scope, maybe even advisor to the business leaders on long-term strategy?
Okay, that is a very, very good question. So the short answer would be yes. Obviously, I will elaborate a bit on that. First of all, the vision for the team that I'm having is twofold. The first one is our goal for our customers is to help them define and execute a profitable transformation strategy. The end is very important. We're not here only to do fancy slides. We're here to execute, to deliver what we say is necessary for you, dear customer, to change. That's the one thing. The other one is for Columbus. We want to help Columbus evolve as a company to become more of an advisor towards our customers because of our knowledge, thought leadership around business, around the industry, and our knowledge about how to achieve change, which we'll definitely talk about, because the how is very important. Probably everyone agrees that based on the market, based on the pressure we're facing, we need to evolve, we need to make things a little bit different. Probably what got us where we are successfully today will not be the same that will get us successful tomorrow. And we're here to help and support our customers for that.
Yeah, I mean, success is momental, so to speak, because tomorrow, like you say, success will be defined by something else. But then I'm thinking, is it time that we zoom in on what is change, how to define it?
Yeah, another good question. Obviously, if you ask 10 people what is change, you will get 10 different answers. So I will be happy to give you mine.
Yeah.
Probably it won't be the one you have in mind. First of all, we need to differentiate change and transformation. In both cases, it's about evolving. As a company, like I said, the market being evolving at the speed it is today, it is putting an immense pressure on each and every company to adapt, to evolve, to adjust how they do things. How they do things is everything. It's the ways of working, it's the business processes, it's the organization, it's the culture of the company, it's the technology also to support all of that, it's the business models. And generally speaking, it's how can we be more efficient? How can we do good things faster than we used to do? Because again, in the past, the speed that we were doing things was enough. It is not anymore. So it is putting that gigantic pressure on companies to transform themselves. As we know, people don't really like change. Companies absolutely hate change. So on one hand, they acknowledge that we have to change the way we do things today. On the other hand, we don't really want it because we're comfortable in the way we do things today. We're used to it. We're successful in it, which is where it's difficult because you do not want to change something that is working. The problem is it is working right now, today. And like you were saying, the market is changing. It doesn't wait for you. It doesn't care what you think. It doesn't care what you do as a company. So you have to adjust to the market. That's the pressure. Now, what is change? So I kind of described transformation. Change is more on the people side of things. You can evolve a lot of things in a company. Take specific example, the business processes and the organization. If people don't embrace it, there will be the single point of failure for the overall transformation. Because at the end of the day, people are what makes a company work or not work or be more or less efficient. If you force a new way of working, a new set of processes, a new set of software to people without getting them on the journey very early, it will fail. You're very familiar with that statistics that in average 75% of transformation projects do not achieve the results that were intended. This is a gigantic high number.
Yeah, it's super high.
It's super high. It's kind of surprising because after all these years, you would think that we have collectively
learned
a few things. This is what works, this is what doesn't work. But still, only 25% of the transformation projects actually deliver what they're intended to. And that's mostly because everyone forgets about the people side of things. How can we get people to embrace the change? It's when you explain very early, this is the scope of what we're planning to change. This is why we're doing it. And this is why it's good for you. And that part is very often forgotten because you means a lot of things in a company. There are different business units, there are different layers, there are a lot of different incentives for people. To give you a specific example, for a CIO, for instance, the OPEX reduction will be very important because of the mandate that the CIO has. Please do more with less cost, basically. As an individual user of a specific system, you don't really care about the cost reduction side of things. What you care about is if I use that new system, if I apply that new way of working, that new process, how would that benefit me? Will I save some time for better use of my time? Will I be able to do more with the allocated scope that I usually do? And that you need to explain precisely. If you want things to be successful, everyone needs to feel is good for me on a personal level. A good, successful transformation or change is when you manage to combine the collective goal with the individual, with an S, goal.
I think you're definitely onto something, but what I have seen and experienced is that in the terms of digital transformation, a lot of individuals get scared as well because we do digitize and automate people's tasks and assignments. So I think, combining these change projects with people development and competence development would be necessary as well to keep the people motivated, because they obviously need other skills after the project is done most
Absolutely.
of the time. Or how do you also talk about that in your project?
Absolutely, because it is part of the overall success. The overall success means you are, thanks to the transformation, you are now more efficient as a company, so you are freeing some time for your people. Then it's your role as a company to define what do we do with that extra time, because now we're not wasting time doing manual tasks or things like that. But then it's really good because then you can make the best use of your people's brains. They have a lot of good ideas, they want to innovate. Well, now they are freeing some time for that, for innovation, for making the company a better place, for new offers to hit the market. And before that, they couldn't because of the constraints they were having on a daily basis.
So it actually, leads to innovation, freeing up time for innovation as well. I think that was inspiring.
And if I can finish on that, innovation is the key to the market we live in today. Market has always been evolving. Companies have always been responding to that evolution. What is new these days is the speed to which the market is evolving. Every day you have new startups, new business offerings, new technology hitting the market. It's almost impossible to keep track of everything new that is happening on a daily basis. As a company, if you are set up to be able to innovate and to have your innovation hit the market fast, then you are ready for what's happening today.
Yeah, and you secure your business as well.
Exactly.
I don't know if we zoomed in exactly on change or business transformation. We talked about transformation and change, so I'm throwing in another term here. Within quality and business process, the areas, continuous improvements are something that they discuss a lot. How do that relate to change and transformation?
Yeah, another very good question. First of all, change is a constant. It's not a one-off exercise. You constantly have to evolve, and that's your question about continuous improvement. The as-is situation, which is the reason why you are willing to evolve or change or transform something, the as-is keeps changing itself.
Yeah, it's outside factors influencing
exactly.
as well.
So you constantly have to get better as a company. You constantly have to be more efficient. You constantly have to look at your business processes. There is no perfect organization. You can always improve something. It's probably true that a lot of companies are inefficient because of how things have been built over the past decades, I would say. For example, if we look at the telecom industry, the way technology has been driving change in the telecom industry is very counterintuitive. Every time you had a mobile revolution from 2G to 3G, from 3G to 4G, which completely revolutionized the way we use our phones. Remember 20 years ago, we were absolutely not doing what we do today. Telco companies have had the tendency to build a separate organization. Right now, we're good at managing our voice network, which is 2G. Now we need to go into data. We will build a separate organization with a separate set of technology and tools and processes, and that will be basically a second company, and we're keeping a gigantic wall in between. It was working, kind of.
When there was a demand enough to support it, I guess.
Exactly, but then competition increased. You had the MVNOs coming in, you had new telcos in each country, and that put a lot of pressure on the OPEX of each and every telco. And then I had to change and break down the entire way they built themselves, which is extremely complicated and extremely difficult. And you had this, in the office of the CIOs, you had that gigantic map on the wall with 10,000 different software and systems and arrows all over the place. And it was just impossible to understand. And that was just the system part of it. You can imagine what it meant from a business process perspective.
Yeah, I actually don't even want to imagine it.
Chaos would be a good way of doing things.
Yeah.
And there has been a lot of different projects to rationalize, optimize, and reduce this crazy number of business processes, but in a smart way, because you cannot break what's working. Because somehow these separate organizations, from a pure efficiency perspective, were working. Not perfectly, but not working. It was just not sustainable from a cost perspective. You cannot have different teams doing the exact same task. It makes absolutely zero sense.
Exactly. And I think also looking back, in the manufacturing industry, for instance, you had these companies in sub-companies in different countries having different systems, and business wasn't as global. All of a sudden, you were going to work as one. You could serve the same customer from anywhere. That shift has actually put a lot of pressure as well on these companies.
Yeah, it is a very good point. And, there is an acceptable level of silos and bureaucracy. The bigger you are as a company, the more acceptable it is to have some kind of silos. You cannot be completely horizontal and agile with very close feedback loops in a 100,000 people company. It's not fine. On the other hand, it's also not fine to have 50,000 different silos in the company. There is a correct middle to find here.
Yeah, and you obviously can help out with this.
Absolutely. I have been doing that over 23 years now, helping companies be more efficient, basically.
Yeah. And when it comes to this, implementing change processes or change mindset, what are the risks with it? I mean, if we look at it, the risk, how to manage the risk.
Yeah, this is where it becomes tricky, but also why you need experts into that field. The main problem, which is often overlooked, is that the risks will never be the same.
Okay.
From one project to another, from one customer to another, from an industry to another. What worked last time will not necessarily work this time. And this is where you actually have to look very precisely how a company works. You probably know the quote that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Yes. And this is so true. Each company has a reason to work a little differently. And you, as a partner who is here to help the company improve, you need to look at that. Because it will be very easy to break something that is working. And if you not play with the company culture, people will resist the change significantly. And the specific risks that you were mentioning, one is clearly not looking at people change very early in the game. When you're scoping the project, when you're first discussing with the customer, so what is your strategy? What is it that you're trying to achieve? Most importantly, how do you define success? In 2 to 3 years from now, what would success be for you? You need to listen very carefully to the words here because they will be very, very different. Let me give you a fairly fun example. I had a meeting once with the CIO of a company, which I will not name, and I was asking him, what would be a successful outcome for you in 2 to 3 years from now? He responded, I would like people in my company to not talk about me. That was a very funny way to say he was after operational excellence. What he was not directly telling me was that his systems were not reliable, that his processes were inefficient, so everything was slow, and people were very frustrated with what.
And they blamed him.
And they blamed him, like these IT guys.
Yeah.
And that was a really fun way to say it.
Yeah, it was.
So then I translated that into, okay, you are after operational excellence. Let's work together and define how we can improve.
Yeah, narrow it down to a tangible.
Exactly, become specific and then put some KPIs.
Yeah.
We will increase by 20% the speed to which you're fixing the bugs that you have in the system. We'll decrease the number of bugs you're having. We'll decrease the number of operational processes, and we will make sure that you can align and respond to the needs of the business much faster than you do today.
Yeah.
As a result, people will be happy and they will forget about you.
I think I actually once cut myself out of the equation as a goal. I'm going to make myself, redundant. I think those things, setting those kind of weird goals is actually something that is very motivating because then you set it up.
It is. And also, for us as an advisor, it's very important to agree on clear, tangible KPIs. Yeah. Again, we're not here to just make fancy slides and conclude, you guys need to be more agile. Yeah, thank you so much.
Or just be there forever and kind of, we also want to see the results.
Exactly. And it's all about, by doing this transformation program with us, we will commit that you will decrease your OPEX by 20%. We will commit that you will increase your time to market by 40%. You have to be very specific, very tangible, because it's all about realizing value.
Yeah, and then breaking it down, you can set, targets to reach that goal. How would you know when change is necessary? Is there a sign from the market that you're not up to speed, or how do you know?
That's a big question. First of all, I will give you a very provocative answer. Change is always necessary.
That was a good one.
The market doesn't care about you. The market doesn't wait for you. You have to adapt to the market. And like we said before, the market is constantly evolving, and I would say faster and faster. Now, on top of it, we have some very interesting geopolitical factors that are influencing pretty much every company. Now that all our world economies are interdependent and interconnected, any kind of major geopolitical shock is shaking the market even more. So as a company, first of all, you do have to adjust, adapt, evolve. Let's choose the best possible verb here. But you just have to. If you don't change anything, let's assume you're super successful right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in 2, 3, 5 maybe years from now, you will be irrelevant and out of business. Because whatever you're doing well and selling well right now will not be needed in a couple of years. You have to change. Let's take an example of a very big company, Meta.
Mm-hmm.
Little, controversial company, but they are about to completely change their business model because Mark Zuckerberg, his thought process is the revenue coming from paid advertising basically will decline. He can see it. It's the trend for social media. So he's taking the bet to completely reinvent his company, and he's investing, I believe, $1 billion a month to building the metaverse. Is it a good idea or a bad idea? That I have absolutely no idea. Time will tell. In 10, 15 years from now, we will see what happens. However, he's being very clear about it. He wants to reinvent his company, which right now is extremely successful. But he's anticipating that the revenue will decrease. Due to our size, we need to constantly grow. There's no way around that. So I will change my company from A to Z completely.
Yeah, even before he actually needs it from a business revenue perspective even.
Exactly. He's not waiting for the market to tell him, hey, your revenue is declining 20% year on year.
And that's maybe a little bit of the leadership philosophy that we can also talk about. Because as a leader, is it to wait until someone else tells you that you need to change or you need to decrease or you need to act? Or is it something that should be built in, that we constantly do these small tweaks?
I would say a good leader constantly has to anticipate. Nothing is easy, but you always need to be anticipating, read the market. Take a step back, which is very difficult because you have your daily KPIs, your daily operations, you have your customers to please, you have your employees to grow, you have your numbers to make, but you do absolutely need to take a step back and look, okay, where are we right now? Where is the market going? What do I think is going to happen over the coming years? Which is where it becomes difficult because we can't really predict precisely what's going to happen, but form your own opinion, make some scenarios, play a little bit with them, revisit your scenarios every quarter, something like that, and then make your decisions based on that. Let's take 2023, for instance. It's not crazy to anticipate that there will be a recession. How big, how small, that we don't know yet.
I have one more thing. Internal communication. How important is that when it comes to change? And what do you think about internal communication? Who is it we're talking about? Is it, internal comms department, or is it the managers? Who is it?
I'm very glad you're asking that question. Communication is a single point of failure of pretty much everything. Because people do not understand or even know what we're trying to do or why or how it impacts them. So it is critical to communicate clearly from a company perspective internally. This is what we plan to do for the coming 3, 6, 9 months. This is why we want to do it. This is what we're expecting out of it. And this is how it's good for you. That you need to communicate, but not only once. You need to regularly communicate and show progress. 6 months ago, we told you we wanted to have that internal initiative in order to achieve XYZ. Where are we? Have we achieved something? And feedback loop, please tell us. Have things improved for you like we promised it would or not? If not, let's correct that and let's make sure that you see the evolution and the benefits. You absolutely need to constantly communicate regularly at different level through different channels as well, because everyone is busy. Everyone is busy with their customers, with their numbers. You have that contract to close, you have that project to deliver. So it's natural to lose track a little bit of what's happening in your company, particularly for services companies like Columbus. We are heavily focused towards our customers, which is great, but we also need to keep track of what's happening and that the company is evolving in order to make yourself more efficient and more successful with your customers. So you absolutely need to communicate all the time, not every 2 hours, but you do need to communicate and always take a step back. Let's remember collectively this is why we're doing this. And this is what we're trying to achieve, and this is how we're going to do it.
And, I saw a really great thing that I've been looking at for a while in social media. I see some leaders who are actually moved their internal communications to some extent out in social media. So they're actually communicating, the company's goals, mission, vision, and, building that strategic, I would say, roadmap for openly in social. That's where they actually communicate with their people, because as you said, we're busy, but people are also spending time in social media, both during work hours but also in their private hours. And this is something that I think I have seen great success. Is this something you think could work?
Absolutely. I mean, clearly, it's a good example of change, how companies have changed towards the new world, towards the new use that people have of social media. Now, the frontier between the office and home is way more blurry than before. Mm-hmm. We all work sometimes after dinner or during the weekend. We check our social media. So seeing that message, same message, but with a different medium is very interesting. And, it's like in education, repeating is teaching. Tailoring the message is teaching also, and it's good communication. You make me think of, speaking of social media, of what's happening in Twitter right now. Very interesting. So at the time of this recording, we still don't know what the master plan of Elon Musk is.
No.
But there is one.
It must be.
The man isn't stupid. However, from a change management perspective, it is fair to say that it's an absolute disaster the way he is doing it. Just yesterday, I read that a poll with the remaining employees of Twitter, so all the few ones that have not been fired, 89% of them said that Twitter will fail under Elon Musk's leadership. This is an atrocious number, but it's not surprising. He's going extremely brutally about what he wants to do.
And I mean, also, he started out changing his mind. He didn't want to buy it even more. So, I mean, think about working at a company where the leader actively wants to kind of revoke the deal he made because he doesn't believe. So that's actually where it all started.
I have to say he's a bit difficult to follow right now. But again, we'll see in a couple of months what the plan is. But regardless of what he wants to do, and maybe he will turn Twitter into a very successful business, but the how is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Because he definitely went too harsh and way too fast, and he didn't think about how we need to do that. He just fired, 60-70% of the staff. Yeah. So he lost a lot of competence. And the people who remain right now, there's no way they're going to be 100% motivated working under some actual corporate dictatorship. No. It's fair to say Elon Musk is not a servant leader. I think we can all agree on that. And, even if he's very smart as a businessman, I'm not sure about his change management strategy. I would actually take the liberty of saying that he needs to ask professionals to help him here.
I think he should call you.
He definitely should.
Yeah.
Elon, if you're listening, I'm available.
But I do believe that you're right. And I think that if he wants to transform Twitter into something new, because Twitter, as you all know, I mean, it's a social media platform. And if he wants to transform it, how on earth is he going to get the power to do that if people are not with him? So, yeah, Elon, call Michaël.
We're here. We can help you.
So to get back to your services that you're running a little bit, what are they exactly and how do you operate it?
So our services for the moment are end-to-end because, as we have discussed, it's extremely important to consider all the dimensions. First, it's about helping our customers translate their vision and their strategy into something tangible. So your vision is we want to become a company, we want to become the leader in our market, for instance. We want to. What does that mean? From a strategical perspective, how can we help them define the business models? So that we do what we call the envisioning. We help them envision success for you specifically in your industry, in your market, in your segment with your customers. This is how it will look like. We will help them define what success will look like, and then we'll translate it into business plans, business models, target operating model, target processes, target organization, and recommendations for the technology. Do not jump immediately on technology, like we discussed earlier. Technology will not fix your problems by magic. You need to ask technology to do something very specific for you. We will define what that specific is for the customer. That's the strategic part of it. The change part of it is how can we make that transformation stick, adopted by your people, by your teams, and how do we make it stick? That one is very important. Because imagine you're finalizing your project, job done, goodbye, and then after 3 months, people revert back to their old ways of working. They keep using an Excel file instead of the new system. That happens a lot.
Yes.
So we help them making sure that the change does stick, that the change is applied, and that people see the benefits of that. And then the last part is the re-envisioning. Like we said, change is a constant. You have achieved something, you have improved your business, but the market has also changed in the same time. So you need to keep innovating, you need to keep reinventing yourself, and we help our customers re-envision what it means for them, that your market.
Sounds like it takes a lot of curiosity, which is one of our values, actually, to keep at that.
It is a mindset. It is a mindset of always asking why.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Where are we? Why is the market this way? What can we do to adjust? And keep being curious. I think it's extremely important. And while I'm at it, a very good observation of the first 4 months I have in Columbus is the strategy and change team, the business advisors that we have in the team. They're absolutely amazing. All of them, they have fantastic ideas. They have a lot of experience. They have seen what works and what doesn't work with different customers, with different industries, and they are absolutely looking forward to helping our new customers with all that experience to get better and become a better business.
Thank you so much for coming, Michaël. And for you who listen to this podcast, please share the link with friends or colleagues. And there will be more podcasts to come, and maybe you'll join us again after a few more months to say what has happened since.
With great pleasure. Thanks for having me. And please feel free to reach out anytime. I'm available.
Thank you, Michaël.
Thank you. Goodbye.